In this video, I'm not gonna stray too far from, I guess, my normal format, but I've had a really hard time making this video. And this is not the first video I've had a hard time making. There's been plenty of those. But this one, I don't know if it's just because of I've just been struggling with Parkinson's, and I've just had a lot going on. There was Thanksgiving, and I really want to put out a video, but you know, I care about the substance and the content and all that. But so what I decided to do was basically try to piece together, and which you can do with editing, which is actually a lot of fun. But I'm going to bounce from kind of day to day to scene, and hopefully it works. But I just want to give you a heads up that that's what the video will be like. I'm not sure if I even needed to do that, give you a heads up, but just in case, I thought I'd do it. As always, thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. If you haven't subscribed, please do, and enjoy. I've been struggling with my Parkinson's symptoms, and it's been a rough couple of weeks. I will begin with, this is probably going to be like a little bit all over the place, but hopefully that's okay and interesting to see. Hello, my friends. Well, this month it's December 2024, and it is the 11-year anniversary of my diagnosis, the month I was diagnosed, which was in December of 2013. I can't remember the day. I'm sure I have the records or the paperwork somewhere, but it was in the month of December 2013. And so I thought I would do a progression video on what does 11 years in look like for somebody, for me. I was 38 when I was diagnosed. If you're not familiar with my channel, my name is Jennifer Sullivan. So yeah, I've been living with it for 11 years. I owned a restaurant at the time. It was a pub. And yeah, 11 years in. I have another progression video, which I will put link to down in the description below and up here. If you haven't seen that, you can check that out as well. How a lady with Parkinson's. I just took my carbidopa-levodopa dose, and I've been experiencing some pretty intense episodes of dyskinesia. I'm going to see my MDS in December, so I believe it's next week on Friday. I'm super excited to see her. I want to talk about the subcutaneous pump and see if I'd be a good candidate for that. I've heard that Medicaid or Medicare doesn't take it yet. It needs to be out for like a year or something like that. I have private insurance. I just don't know how much it's going to cost with that insurance, so we will see. Something really exciting happened, so yeah, I will hopefully be able to work on some of those issues and that I've had, which have just been, they've been terrible. Progression. It's been a tough, I'd say the last 2 to 3 months have been extra challenging, and it's almost as if I kind of feel like I dropped off a cliff in some ways, symptoms-wise, but it really is just, it's a slow progression that kind of compounds, and you slowly, or you spend more off time than on time, or you end up being more impacted by food than you were in the past. So there are all these like subtle things, but it's felt for me, I don't want to say dramatic, but it is kind of dramatic. Yeah, I would say this year 11 for me has kind of marked a turning point or a corner. But again, I also don't like not being able to move. And so between the two options, I've always preferred to be dyskinetic and on the wiggly side than not being able to move. I can't stand the feeling of not being able to move. That. Let's see if you can see this. Pretty Dope Women's Podcast by Caitlin Nudge. and I was interviewed. We had a really nice chat about all kinds of things Parkinson's. You should definitely check her out, and especially women, because our voices are underrepresented and we're getting our voices out there. Yeah, things have been very difficult this past couple of weeks. Another challenge I've been struggling with I feel like the last few months, more so than before, so it seems new-ish or just maybe more severe. I'm almost overly cautious about the words that I'm using, because I also don't want to like condemn myself to be like stuck in this place. Like I'm very hopeful that I can always make improvements, but my walking. So my Parkinson's is more, I have more gait issues than tremor issues. I had the mini breakdown, so I'm going to be seeing my therapist on Friday. Yeah, I had a mini meltdown. Because of my symptoms and my one bartending shift that I love so much, I just don't know how much longer I'll be able to do it. I'm still functioning. I'm still bartending 1 day a week, but that is getting harder. And I think that if I make it another year, I'd be lucky. And it's hard to face that reality. I mean, I've always loved my work. And I love my customers. And it's hard. But my ability to walk, and so I've been playing around with a variety of different tricks and tips and things that I use to get me out of being frozen in like a little gait freeze. And that's been a struggle because I still bartend 1 day a week, and I still bartend 1 day a week. Oh, yeah, I don't know. So that made me sad because I also then, was thinking about doing a video too titled, and it doesn't mean I won't do it, but titled, "Will anyone hire a 49-year-old woman with Parkinson's disease? A woman who's owned her own business?" You hear these things when you're younger about age discrimination and all that kind of stuff, but of course it will never happen to you. And I'm not saying that it's happening to me, but I updated so aside from my bartending job, plus I make good money. 1 day a week, it brings in, a sizable chunk of change, even though it's a short shift. It's good money, and it's money that I need. So, along with my bartending, I do some freelancing. I do some freelance bookkeeping, which is not my favorite thing to do. I'm not like a professional bookkeeper, but I do some graphic design, some web design stuff. So I do like a little mishmash. I've got like one client, it's a husband and wife, and they're awesome, but that's also not steady. And so like I was looking for like a writing gig, part-time remote, and I thought I found something that just would have been so perfect. And they could still call me, who knows, but it just feels like an employer, kind of like I think the disability people, don't understand that there's times when we're functional and times when maybe we're not as functional as we'd like to be. And so this job too, it just sounded so perfect. But anyways, what am I gonna do? And then also that I've owned my own business. I think not only is there the judgment maybe about Parkinson's, and of course there's all of the statements, that say that, like we're an equal opportunity employer, that if you're, that if you're disabled, or I don't know, I feel like, not like I've got too much talent or too many skills, but that, being self-employed for so long has kind of worked against me. Maybe these people will think, despite their, posts saying you need to be able to work independently, I don't know, maybe it'll work against me. But yeah, going back to that initial question, who's gonna hire a 49-year-old woman with Parkinson's disease? Although, a couple of days ago, my tremor popped out, and it was very obvious, and it hadn't been that obvious in a while. I feel like, is it the fallback? This is another thing. Last year in 2023, when this happened, I was severely impacted by the fallback and the early darkness. It messed with my sleep schedule and all that stuff, and it was just, yeah, things have just been, movement-wise, just tough. But I'm still, hanging in there. Should put this on before I do my mascara, but oh well. Let's see. Oh yeah, and what I discussed in the podcast briefly was that we were talking about being like supportive for our support partners and how we can be better partners for them. And I mentioned that my husband, I've never mentioned this on my channel because I've wanted to do a video about it. It's another one of my video ideas I just haven't gotten around to yet. And it was about my husband. We were talking about my husband. So he's pretty unique. I've read some similar, but not quite. But so I have Parkinson's. His mom has Parkinson's, and my mom has Parkinson's. So I met my husband, we started dating in 2014. And so he knew about my having Parkinson's then. And then in 2021, my mom was diagnosed with Parkinson's, and then later that year, my mom told us, I think in February, and she'd been telling me about symptoms that she had been having. I knew that it sounded like Parkinson's. So she was diagnosed, I think it was February, March, something like that in 2021. And then over the summer in June of 2021, my husband's mom told us that she had Parkinson's as well. And I think about my husband and all three women in his life, his mom, his wife, his mother-in-law, all three kind of major women in his life have Parkinson's. And what that must be like for him. He's a stoic fella, and he's quite tough about these things. I'm the bleeding heart, he's the tough one, but how can I be a better partner for him? Especially when he's always focused on me and making sure that I'm okay, and that, whenever I ask him if he's okay, he's always okay. So we talked a little bit about that in the podcast. I'm trying to think, before I got here to do this, I had so much to talk about. Yeah, but I'm now, maybe it's because I'm off a little bit. I'm just losing what my thoughts are. I don't know. So, this is how I get myself together.